I thought my heart was going to explode right there on my front porch. This woman from the HOA, Catherine Reynolds, had just dropped a bomb. My family's 3,000-acre ranch, held since 1885, had been sold to a fracking company without a single word to me. No signature, no notice, just gone. My hands shook with fury, but then her voice hit me like a bucket of ice water. I'd heard that smug tone before, 7 years ago, on the worst day of my parents' lives. This wasn't just about land. This was personal, and I was about to find out why. Let me take you back to before this nightmare kicked off. I'm Jack Thompson, 60, a retired mechanic who traded wrenches for a quiet life in my great-grandfather's sprawling cabin in Willow Creek, Montana. Picture 3,000 acres of rolling hills, pine forests, and a crystal-clear river winding through it all. For the past 6 years, I'd been pouring my soul into turning 1,000 of those acres into a sustainable retreat. Think hiking trails, organic orchards, and workshops teaching folks how to live off the land. We were pulling in $250,000 a year, supporting local families who worked as guides, gardeners, and educators. Kids learned to plant seeds, couples strolled hand in hand under the stars, and neighbors became family. It wasn't just my retirement dream. It was a thriving community that gave people hope. Life was damn near perfect. But perfection doesn't last when you're sitting on something valuable. Our little paradise was smack in the middle of the Pine Valley HOA's turf. Unlike your typical HOA fussing over lawn heights, this one was a beast. Back in 2020, during a housing crash, they'd snapped up 20 foreclosed homes and turned them into rentals for our retreat's workers' guides, farmers, teachers. These weren't just tenants. Elena Garcia, a single mom with 4 kids and her aging dad, had lived in one of those houses for 7 years. Next door, an elderly couple had customized their place for their daughter's wheelchair. Across the street, a young vet named Mike found peace tending our orchards after 3 tours overseas. These folks weren't just renting. They were building lives, raising kids, making memories in homes they thought were theirs forever. Then came that crisp October morning in 2024. I was showing a group of families from Bozeman how to graft apple trees when a fleet of sleek black SUVs roared up our dirt road. Out steps Catherine Reynolds in a tailored suit, stilettos sinking into the mud, lugging a briefcase like she was closing a billion-dollar deal. I'm knee-deep in dirt with a bunch of kids, and she's tiptoeing like she's dodging landmines. "Mr. Thompson," she says, voice sharp as a razor. "I'm Catherine Reynolds, environmental consultant for the Pine Valley HOA. We need to discuss the immediate redevelopment of this property." Redevelopment? I'm staring at her like she's speaking in tongues. She flips open her briefcase, pulls out a stack of documents thicker than a phone book, and lays it out. The HOA had sold development rights to my land and was transferring those 20 rental homes to Titan Fracking Corporation. Aerial maps showed my ranch overlapping their drilling sites. Timelines detailed evicting families to house fracking workers in modernized units. My vision blurred as she explained how the HOA board had voted to maximize community value by selling everything out from under us. The kids on the tour started asking questions that cut deeper than anything the adults could muster. A 10-year-old piped up, "If fracking's so safe, why do the deer run from your test rigs?" Catherine had no answer. Another kid pointed out she was standing in our toxic soil without a hazmat suit. Crickets. Elena Garcia asked where her kids would go to school if they were forced out. Catherine waved her off, saying, "You folks don't get economic progress. Sometimes displacement is just part of growth." That phrase, "you folks," hit me like a freight train. I'd heard it before, word for word, in my parents' notes from a scam that ruined them in 2017. That night, I dug through old files and found a photo from a 2017 legacy investment seminar. The woman in it, Margaret Carter, looked different, blonde instead of brunette. Thinner, warmer smile, but her posture, her hands, that condescending smirk, identical to Catherine's. This wasn't a coincidence. This was the same woman who'd conned my parents out of their life savings. By dawn, I was neck-deep in research, chugging coffee and piecing together a horror show. Geological surveys from 6 months earlier showed our land sat on a $60 million natural gas deposit. Catherine's redevelopment was a cover to hand it all to Titan Fracking land, homes, our entire community for a $15 million commission. She'd done this before, in Wyoming, Idaho, and North Dakota, targeting small towns with HOA-owned rentals and valuable resources. Families lost homes, kids ended up in shelters, and she vanished with the cash. Our community was her latest mark, and she'd studied us for 3 years: our land records, our families, even our retreat's business model. She knew exactly how to hit us where it hurt. The pressure was relentless. Catherine gave us 48 hours to accept her relocation package or face legal action. Families started cracking under the stress. Elena's kids were scared they'd lose their friends. The elderly couple researched nursing homes they couldn't afford. Mike, the vet, was having nightmares again. Catherine played dirty, whispering to homeowners that fracking would boost property values, while telling renters the owners had already sold them out. Neighbors turned on each other, and our once tight community started to fray. But we weren't going down without a fight. 3 days after her deadline, Catherine called an emergency HOA meeting to ram through the property transfers. The community center, built for 40, was packed with 200 people, families, kids, even regular visitors who'd heard about our fight. The air crackled with anger and fear. Catherine rolled in like a general, flanked by assistants with charts, projectors, and fake environmental gear. She launched into a presentation about how fracking would save the planet by fueling clean energy. The gall of it telling families their eviction was for the greater good was infuriating. Then her laptop crashed mid-slide, flashing file names like fraud blueprint and fake gas data. A college kid, Sarah Lopez, filming for her thesis, caught it all. When she zoomed in on those files, the room gasped. Catherine was unraveling. Our volunteer lawyer, Tom Reed, hammered her with questions about her data, EPA regulations, lab certifications, gas readings that didn't add up. She fumbled, mispronounced terms, and called the EPA the Environmental Protection Authority. Then Mrs. Helen Wright, an 85-year-old retired geologist, stood up with her cane and asked why her orchard was thriving if the soil was supposedly deadly. The room went dead silent. Catherine's polished facade cracked. She started waving her laser pointer, yelling, "You folks don't understand science. I have credentials." In her panic, she aimed the laser at her own forehead, a red dot dancing as she ranted. Sarah's camera caught every second, and by nightfall, the video, Fracking Fraud Karen's Epic Meltdown, had 600,000 views. Comments flooded in from across the country, sharing stories of similar scams. Real scientists debunked her claims, and news outlets called it a textbook case of corporate fraud. Catherine's downfall was swift. Sarah's live streams grew to 250,000 followers, tracking her every move. When she tried to flee, caught at a regional airport in a cheap wig, hauling $90,000 in cash and fake IDs as Michelle Carter, the FBI was waiting. Her arrest, watched by 3 million people online, exposed a 14-year crime ring that stole $20 million from 250 families across 9 states. Corrupt execs, fake scientists, even paid-off HOA board members were part of it. They targeted places like ours, rural, resource-rich, emotionally tied to the land. But Sarah's footage turned our fight into a national movement, inspiring communities to fight back. With Catherine in custody, I was voted HOA president to dissolve it entirely. Montana law let us sell the 20 rental homes back to their families for $1 each. On a sunny April morning in 2025, we held the Willow Creek Liberation Sale, live-streamed to 6 million viewers. I stood at an auctioneer's podium, grinning like a kid, selling homes to families like Elena's for $1. Cheers erupted as deeds were handed over. The elderly couple hugged their new accessibility ramp. Mike clutched his garden's title. We sold the preserve to our cooperative for $1, ensuring no fracker could ever touch it. Donations hit $500,000 for other communities fighting similar battles. Catherine got 18 years in prison, assigned to clean up federal parks. Poetic justice for a woman who faked environmentalism for profit. Sarah's footage landed a documentary deal, and our story sparked laws protecting community land. But as I walked through Willow Creek at sunset, watching kids play in yards their parents now owned, I couldn't shake Catherine's smirk during her arrest. She'd researched us for years, knew my parents' scam, targeted me specifically. Why? Who tipped her off about our gas deposits? Was someone in our town feeding her secrets? Her contingency plans, mentioned in custody, hinted at a bigger player still out there. We'd won. But had we really stopped the threat? What do you think? Was Catherine just a lone con artist? Or is someone else pulling the strings? Could a traitor in our own community still be lurking? Drop your thoughts below. Hit that like button if this story fired you up, and subscribe for more tales of ordinary folks taking on corporate greed. Let's keep this fight alive.